The Jets announced they're going to activate Aaron Rodgers off the IR. It's a plus to have him on the practice field for him and his teammates. Robert Saleh also reiterated he's not going to play, which Aaron reiterated yesterday he's not going to play. So if you can't win games, let's try to win PR. Just the silly circus continues. He's been on the sidelines on the headset. He's traveling with the team. He's on the sidelines. He's at practice. We see him throwing the ball around. But now it's official. He's been activated on the Jets roster because he's so good around the team. Really? I've watched you play. He ain't that good. He's not making that much of a difference. He's on the headset shaking his head at Nat Hackett's calls. You know what's interesting about this? You know also who else tore his Achilles? Kirk Cousins. And you haven't heard a word. Because Kirk Cousins doesn't need 24/7 validation and attention, updates on a weekly basis, doesn't need to play a game with PR. Kirk Cousins, who's very secure with himself, happily married, beautiful family, end of a cul-de-sac, dogs. Life doesn't revolve around Kirk Cousins. He's part of a fabric, of an organization, of a family. You'll find that happen a lot in life. The people who are truly happy and content don't seek constant attention. It should be noted that Aaron and Kirk Cousins have played 10 times. Kirk Cousins has won 5, lost 4, and tied 1. Kirk Cousins has a better record against Aaron Rodgers than vice versa. And you wouldn't know that because Kirk Cousins wouldn't tell you about it. And because you don't know how Kirk Cousins feels about politics and the vaccine, because he represents a family and people beyond himself, doesn't want to embarrass anybody, doesn't need to be front and center. This entire Aaron Rodgers year has been about Aaron and been an absolute circus. Aaron was never going to play. Yesterday he announced he conceded, quote, conceded he's not going to play this year. That's not breaking news, Aaron. Bruh, everybody knew it. You knew it. The world knew it. But Aaron wanted us to believe he had some access to some medical information, probably on some wacko conspiracy theory Reddit board. And Aaron wanted you, and he does this a lot. He wants you to think he reads stuff that you don't read and sees stuff that you don't see and has sources and access that you don't have. And it's all this, this stuff that the mere mortals don't have at their fingertips. But Aaron does. No, bro, you were never going to play when you were hurt. Ever. Science works a lot, most of the time. Doctors have a practice, so it's not perfect, but the stuff works most of the time, and you don't know as much as an epidemiologist. You don't know as much as team doctors. You don't have any revolutionary medical breakthroughs or access. It's called a Reddit board. It's where old single guys with no kids, no family, no dogs, and fake friends hang out. Kirk Cousins has never had to sell us on anything. He just works hard, head down, good guy, family guy, take care of his family, good friend. I'll be back next year. And by the way, Kirk Cousins could use PR. He's a free agent. He could use a LinkedIn. He could use Facebook. He could use talk radio pumping him up. He's a free agent. And he's about the same age as Aaron, but it's interesting to watch how both have handled it. Isn't it kind of interesting? The circus continues. So the Jets today announce, it's just embarrassing. That franchise is embarrassing. I mean, you got a needy franchise and a needy 40-year-old quarterback that needs constant validation. Well, it's good to have Aaron around the team. I mean, he's been around the team. How good can it be? Garrett Wilson's complaining last week. People are shaking their head with Nat Hackett. How good is it? Hasn't proved anything, hasn't done anything, hasn't elevated anything. If I said to you what quarterback franchise has been the biggest circus this year, it's been the Jets. How much has Aaron helped? I mean, you're telling me today that's why you're activating him. You're not going to play. You're not doing it for that. You're doing it because he's helping. How's he helping? Zach Wilson's had one great game all year. Can't help that much. Zach Wilson probably needs to be left alone to his own devices and own issues. Grow up a little bit. Kid grow up with money. Needs to grow up. Doesn't need help. This whole thing's been just nonsense. Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers. Same basic age, same injury. Watch how they've handled it. Wow. Maybe I should have just spent the last 5 minutes on Kirk and not Aaron. I should spend it more on praise and not criticism. But like Kirk Cousins just doing his thing, laughing about it. You know, it's like, hey, I texted Aaron the other day. We should have like Achilles Anonymous. You know, it's just be a bunch of guys go out and I love that about Kirk. But I mean, this Jets thing it's a grift. It's a con. Nobody had any medical information at all because there's no medical access to have other than history. Nobody injures an Achilles, ruptures it, and plays 12 weeks later. Come on, that's nonsense. And also, by the way, the vaccine did save lives. I'm sorry it did. I'm not a doctor, but it did. Millions and millions of lives. All right, so Steph Curry last night was amazing. 33 points. Warriors rally to beat the Celtics. They shouldn't because the Celtics are a deep, loaded roster with a bunch of guys in their prime, and the Warriors are not. They're a one-man team. So Steph this year is 35 years old. He's averaging 28 a game, 41% on threes, 34 minutes a game. I mean, LeBron may lead in longevity, but Steph's on the same path. And this Warrior team's not real good. Draymond's out, suspended. Klay Thompson, shadow of himself. Andrew Wiggins now comes off the bench. I'm not sure what happened to him. Dario Saric is one of their only bigs, and he plays defense worse than those chairs. And their bench doesn't give you a ton, and CP3's past his prime, and yet they're basically on a 3-game winning streak and a 500 team. And Steph remains remarkably disrespected. So there was a moment last night in the game where Jaylen Brown backed him up, bigger, stronger guard, scored on him +1, and he did that kind of moronic gesture they do in the NBA now. You're small. You're too small. Nobody would do that to MJ, LeBron, and Kobe. You wouldn't think of it for a second. But Jaylen Brown, no rings, no MVPs, not even the best guy on his own team, scores a bucket on Steph Curry and does the too small gesture. By the way, Steph's playoff career average is 10 points higher than Jaylen Brown, and his Game 6, Game 7 playoff average is 10 points higher than Jaylen Brown, so who's small? Who comes up small? It's not Steph, it's Jaylen Brown. The Warriors are a one-man team. They're 0-2 when Steph doesn't play. They're 4-9 when Steph doesn't score over 30 or 30+. And then they're excellent when Steph has 30+, 9-3. They should be a lottery team. They'd be a lottery team. They're a one-man team. Celtics aren't. And yet in the fourth quarter and overtime, Steph Curry had 20 points. Tatum and Jaylen Brown combined, 7. And what's remarkable, Steph picked up his 5th foul on that Jaylen Brown play. There were 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. And the Celtics just jacked up threes. Instead of attacking Steph, getting him out of the game, get another foul, jacked up threes. It was another night to watch the bizarrely disrespected 35-year-old one-man team, Steph Curry and the Warriors win over a Celtics team that down the stretch, fourth quarter and overtime, Tatum and Jaylen Brown sat and watched the superior player, who one of those guys, Brown, had gestured he's too small. Who's small? Again, late in the game that mattered. I don't know if it's because his shoe's not cool enough or he golfs a lot or he's a family guy. I don't know what it is with Steph Curry. Nobody would ever do that small gesture to Kobe or Michael or LeBron. He wouldn't even consider it. Be disrespectful to them in the game. But with Steph, it's okay. Remember years ago when people were asked if you could start a franchise with Westbrook and Steph and half the players said Westbrook? You out of your mind. You play the game and don't know it. This guy is an all-timer, one-on-one, a unicorn. Once again last night, Brown and Tatum watching as Steph took over the game late at an OT. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.